Hi, everyone. This is Lin Bouthillier from linbouthillier.com. I'm a certified trauma recovery coach, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of my ongoing series, Monogamous at 13. This is episode number 161, and I would like to today to discuss the language of an abuser. You'll find that a lot of my videos are about discussions of abuser language. The reason I feel that it's important to do that is because there is an incalculable amount of information out in the world, in all kinds of media, everything you could imagine. And it discusses all of the language of an abuser, and it kind of gets lumped into a category of verbal and emotional abuse. And article after article after article, and I've literally read hundreds of them. I've been doing this for years. I've only had a YouTube channel for exactly 1 year and a couple days. But I've been studying the language of abusers for literal years. And I can't come up with anything that is, it's niched down, it's pinpointed down into what the dialogues between an abuser and their targeted individual or the abused, or what we call the abuse survivor. The partner of the abuser is the person who will be able to tell you exactly what verbal abuse and emotional abuse and psychological abuse sounds like. And there are phrases that abusers use that I can't find them anywhere out in the world. And it's one of the reasons why I started my channel, is because I'm like a little kid sitting in a classroom raising my hand and saying, I'll tell about it. Do you want to hear about it? I've experienced it. Uh-oh, my little girlie is going to bark. I'm very barky today, so sorry about that. Okay, thank you. So this video might be a little bit of choppiness in it with stops and starts, because if they bark excessively, I'm just going to pause until they finish. One of them is really good and quiet, the other one not so much. But the language of an abuser, I strongly feel this comes from the deepest part of my heart. I truly believe that the language explanation of what an abuser sounds like can't be found in the material of a person who is an expert, a licensed or credential carrying expert on abuse, but hasn't been abused by a partner or a parent or an extended family, or even by, a coworker, a congregation member, or someone in their neighborhood, or just their lifelong friend. Some of us have had a lifelong friend that we're trauma bonded to. My mother had one of those, a friend who, it was a one-sided love affair. Let's put it that way. That's what my dad used to refer to it with, laughing about it. You love and care about her. You went through some stuff together when you were, teenagers. And you grew into adulthood, and one of you turned out to be a somewhat nice person, and the other one was more so of a nice person. They're being nice to each other, but one is nicer, kinder, more compassionate to the other, and the other one is more of a taker. And that's what was going on with my mom's friendship with one of her, she had a couple people that she considered her best friends. One of them was an absolute gem of a person who would never, ever, ever harm another person. And I still to this day know her and couldn't imagine a lovelier person to know. And she's 87 and she's a delight. I'm looking forward to having lunch with her in a few weeks with my aunt. But when we're with a partner, And there's that imbalance in the relationship. And one person is the hurter, and the other person is the person who gets hurt. And that's not to say that the person who gets hurt does not lash out at the other person, because, you know, I'm a trauma coach. I'm not a relationship expert, but I speak about domestic violence because I'm an experiencer, and it is highly traumatic. And so I'm not speaking about this as a counselor. I'm speaking about this as an experiencer. And I'm not a counselor of any kind. I've never been a counselor. I'm a coach, certified trauma recovery coach. And I'll just take a really short moment to explain this. Certified trauma recovery coach. We explain it the best way by saying what we are not, or what we do not do. We do not therapize. That means we don't do therapy. We don't do counseling. We don't prescribe. We don't treat. We don't do any intervention between people. Like bring them both in. I'm going to talk to them. Tell that one that they're traumatizing that one, and they need to sit. We don't do that. We only work within our scope of practice. And if I had licensure or certification in counseling, then I would be qualified to counsel along with coaching. But if I'm just a coach, if that's the only certification I have, I cannot go in that area. That's out of my wheelhouse. It's out of my scope of practice. But I can tell about my own experience all day long. There's nothing stopping that, as long as I'm not counseling somebody to do something. Okay, I'm educating. So, you know, counseling sounds like this. Well, I think the best outcome for you would be if you do this, 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 and this. And these are the steps to doing that. Certified trauma recovery coaches don't have a planned outcome. We do not have a planned outcome for any client ever, because we believe that the client is intelligent and they know their needs best, and they do not need a person outside of them telling them what is best for them. They've lived a whole life of that. They don't need more of that. They need somebody to give them the truth, which is you are absolutely capable of making your own decisions. And if you need support, I will support you, but you're the decider of how we go forward. So what can I give a person who is in an abuse situation or has been in an abuse situation, and they're no longer in it, but they're still carrying all of the after effects of that trauma inside of them? What can I give them? Well, I can give them information, and I can share my experience if they're interested in hearing my experience. And I don't, in sessions, sit there and talk about me. I will give a tiny little piece of validation. Oh, you know what? Been through that too. I know what you're talking about because I had that happen too. Please continue. That's all they need. Yes, I hear you. I understand you. And they'll say, well, everybody tells me that this couldn't have happened. And I say, hold on a second. Absolutely, it could have, because you're talking to a person who had it happen. So please continue. Peppering it with validation is what it fortifies a trauma survivor. But let's go back now to the language of an abuser. I have a grounding stone in my hand, got my little holy stone, one of them. Now I have dozens of them. I'm asking you to please take care of your nervous system now. If you haven't already done it before watching, the beginning of this video, please pause it. Bring yourself into a state of anchored and groundedness, because I'm going to be speaking about the language of an abuser. And if you're an abuse survivor, this could be triggering for you. If you're not an abuse survivor and you're just learning about it, it could still be triggering for you. So we take the very best care of ourselves. We partner with ourselves. We give ourselves the very best support that we can give. Imagine the support that you would love to get from a counselor or from a best friend or from your partner. Imagine how wonderful and pure and edifying and healthy that support would be. And now picture how easy it is for you to give yourself that support without judgment, without withholding, without malice, without without having any prejudice against yourself or anything, without, what that means is without shaming, okay? Without shaming or blaming yourself. Just looking at yourself, and this is how I tend to do it sometimes. I look at myself as my teenage self that got into this at a certain age. I look at her. I look at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old me. I look at her and I say, I am so supportive of you, girl. I'm going to be the partner that you needed then that you didn't get. I'm going to share the truth with you now because adult me can see things that you weren't able to see then. And I'm gonna help catch you up a little bit. And I do it compassionately and kindly, sometimes with a little humor, because we all know that 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old girls can be kind of fun to be with. They can be a little bit fun and silly. But I look at myself at that age and I kind of put my arm around her and I share these things with her that I now know and recognize. It's one of the ways that I work with my inner child. And on really bad days, sometimes, and I've shared this with some of my clients, I sit in a rocking chair with a quilt and I rock her. I rock her and I hold her and I tell her, it wasn't your fault. You got seduced. You got involved in stuff that was way too much for your little self at that age. But one of the things I'm going to share with you today about the language of an abuser, if you're ready now, if not, pause the video, take care of your system's needs, bring yourself into a state of anchored groundedness, and then hit start again, hit play again when you're ready. Okay, so I'm ready now, and I'm going to be speaking about subtle things that you don't find in written materials, that is language that abusers use. And I've heard one for a long time. And then one day I just kind of froze when I heard it. And I thought, I have heard this hundreds of times, possibly thousands of times over 45 years, the length of the relationship, for when it was intact, still 45 years. And I'm not kidding you. I was shocked, because I don't know if it means that I've come into a certain level of healing at this point, where now my ears are tuned to it to the point that I'm catching new stuff that I never noticed before. And all of a sudden it was just running on a loop through my head, as we do when we ruminate. And people who have healed trauma can still ruminate. It's part of the way our brain works. Doesn't mean that my healing is all gone. It means I'm human. And my brain functions the way a brain functions. My nervous system does its thing. It's doing what it's designed to do. But all of a sudden, I heard the words, well, the phrase, I'm trying to. I have never seen this in print. I've never seen it in a video or heard it in a video. But the phrase is, I'm trying to. I'll take you into a little vignette, like you're peeking through a window and watching a couple having a discussion. And it's about the ongoing abuse. And she's trying to get him to understand, this stuff that you do is abuse. It's not healthy. It's not normal. It's not okay. Having a discussion about withholding things from me, lying to me, lying about me, running smear campaigns, doing extended periods of silent treatment, things like that. All of that stuff that is all emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse of an abusing abuser who abuses. When they say to you, what I've heard so many times, when if I say something like, all I'm asking for is just a little bit of compassion from you. It's all I wanted was just some understanding and some compassion from you, some empathy from you. And they say, I'm trying to be nice to you. I'm trying to be nice to you is something that went in this ear and came out this ear for decades, and I never caught it until one day I did. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh my gosh, how could I have not heard this? Where have I been? And I did a little bit of self-shaming, which was not the most helpful thing in the moment. I can tell you that. It was not necessary, and it doesn't help. I know how to be compassionate with myself. I know how to pick up little energetic little me, scoop her up, put her on my lap, and wrap a blanket around her and rock her for a little while and say, you didn't get this as a kid, and I'm giving it to you now, and you deserve it. And it's just simply because I love you. You're having a hard day. You've got some child parts that are feeling really not so great today. I'm just going to hold you and rock you and love you and tell you how precious you are and how worthy you are to be here, to take up space and draw breath. And you deserve to be on the big blue ball just as much as the other 8 billion people that are on it. That sort of self-partnering, which I absolutely love to give myself. But I was shaming myself when I found out, when I had the realization, when it just kind of came over me, like just washed over me. I've been listening to this for years and I never recognized what it is. It is more really subtle, really pervasive verbal abuse from a verbal abuser who abuses. So now I'm going to take it apart a little bit more, okay? And I'll help you understand why this is abuse. I wrote down, I got an envelope in the mail today, my only piece of mail that came today. And I figured I'm just going to use the outside envelope to write some notes. So I tuned my ears to the word trying. So these are quotes that I heard. I'm trying to tell you the truth. I am trying so hard to be nice to you. Why do you think I'm being nasty to you? I'm trying to be nice to you. I'm trying not to abuse you. So then I started to have this thought. And this is when it all started to click into place, like really nice, sharp-edged puzzle pieces. Here's what happened. I began to ask myself questions. If I'm trying to tie my shoes, are they tied? No. If I'm trying to make dinner, is dinner on the table? No. If I'm trying to pass a course in high school, did I pass it? No. If I'm trying to graduate from my phlebotomy certification class, have I graduated? No. If I'm trying to get to the supermarket, am I there? No. In the action of trying, and when we state that we are trying to do something, it's actually a statement that we have not yet done it. I'm trying to be nice to you means I am fully aware that I'm not nice to you, but I feel some sort of obligation to at least try. If I'm trying to swallow my food, have I swallowed my food? No. Still chewing it, trying to swallow it. If I'm trying to finish this essay, is it finished? No. I'm trying to make a video right now. Can I write this second? Can I upload it to YouTube? No, it's not finished. This is a word, and it's such a little tiny statement. Where on earth would anybody ever say, Would any person, any rational person, let's say you're riding on public transportation, you're on a bus in your town, and you're sitting next to a person, and you say, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" If you're if somebody is saying to you, "I'm trying to be nice to you," would you consider that abuse? I think that person, they might look at you a little strange. Why are you even asking me that weird question? But okay, the answer is no. I don't think that's abuse. And then they put their earbuds back in and go back to what they're doing. No one that you happen across in your life, and you just say, do you think that the phrase "I'm trying to" is abusive language? You will get a no every single time. But you put it into the context of a discussion with an abuser who's trying to convince you that they do not abuse you. When you're having that discussion, you're going toe to toe with them, and you're saying, "I am tired of these subtle gaslights that you give me. I am tired of them because every single gaslight is a lie, or it's a manipulation, it's an exploitation, it's a way to get you to believe that what is happening isn't, or what happened 20 years ago didn't, or what they're doing right now to you, they aren't doing." They will tell you over and over and over again, "I'm just trying to help you." Are they helping you? Wait, okay, let's put the microscope on that. What are we discussing? Them calling all of your relatives, like what was done to me, people I'm not in relationship anymore because I am full no contact with these individuals because of long-term narcissistic abuse. I was born into a narcissistic family system where I have siblings who, some of them are grotesquely narcissistic abusers. Okay. They are intensely abusive, and they don't hesitate at all, and they don't have conscience, and they don't think there's anything wrong with what they're doing. And so the logical thing for me to do, if I want to be a healthy person who lives a healthy life, and I want to grow into the fullness of who I am and what I came on the planet to be, do, and have, and experience and share. Those are people that are still trying to stuff you into a container that has all the labels plastered on it of what they expect you to be. But they don't believe in autonomy, and they don't believe in your autonomy and your freedom to express and create and to believe and to be according to who you are. No, 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 no. They don't allow that. They want that person to be under their control. And they believe that they are entitled to control you, and they want to control you. And when those two things coincide, the it's an entitlement to abuse you and control you, and a desire to abuse you and control you. And when, whoops, just dropped my grounding tool. When you take those two things and you twist them together, almost like to look like a helix of DNA, you twist them together. That is a really binding, very, very strong thing that keeps the abuse in place, keeps the abuser abusing. I want to, and I'm entitled to. Twist those together, and it's just almost like a coating that's over the outside of them. It's so intensely strong, and they live their life according to those two intertwined, twisted beliefs. Really, really deeply, deeply rooted beliefs. I'm entitled to abuse you, and I want to abuse you. Therefore, I do it. And guess what? It's not abuse. That is twisted. That, no pun intended. I mean, it is garbage. That is what abuse is fundamentally, when you take it down to its barest element. That's what abuse is. Okay, just an individual who has those two really deeply rooted beliefs, and they point it at whomever they choose. And they don't have conscience. They don't have self-awareness. They don't have the ability to self-check. They don't have the ability to take accountability and responsibility for any of the harm that can come to any of the people that they pointed at. They believe that they are immune from any consequence for anything that they do. And if there is a negative consequence for it, guess whose fault it is? Yours. You're the person who did wrong. I wouldn't have had to do this. See how many of us have heard this from an abuser. I wouldn't have had to do this unless you had blah, 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 blah first. And then I had to step in and be the adult. I had to step in and be the savior. I had to step in and set you straight because I'm so concerned about you. There's another one. That's another piece of abuser language. They believe if I have a concern, then I am entitled. I'm entitled and I want to act by inflicting upon you what I feel would be best. So let's go back to the abuser language because they feel entitled and they have a desire and an entitlement to trick your brain. And some of them are extremely adept at it. So I'm trying to tell you the truth means I'm lying to you. That is a really very convoluted coming around the back way of saying, yeah, I am lying to you, but I'm not going to look you right in the face and say, you know what, I just lied to you. And that was a disgusting thing for me to do. And my conscience is bothering me right now. I had no right to lie to you. I had no right to lie about you. And I just caught myself doing it. And this is a problem. Now I can see why you would be so hurt and angry and upset with me because I'm lying to you, or I've been lying to you for decades, or you can't come near me without me gaslighting you, which is a highly specialized form of lie. And in case you haven't caught my other videos about this, I'll just reiterate it right now. Every single gaslighting statement that a person could do in your presence aimed at you, or gaslighting expression like, or those sort of things, all of those gestures, they're what I call somatic gaslights. When you're talking to somebody about your deepest injuries, what hurt you so bad that they did to you callously and carelessly and just with complete and total narcissistic abandon. And while you're speaking to them and expecting them to take accountability and responsibility for what pain they have inflicted on you, they can just start to go like this and yawn and look off to the side and look at their watch, start reaching for the remote for the TV. That's all somatic gaslighting, to make you feel valueless. The whole point of that is to tell you a lie, which is you are worthless and you're not worth even listening to or caring about, which is a lie because you are not worthless. Your value is immeasurable. It is larger than the sky. And for somebody to dismiss you while you're speaking to them about the harms they have done to you means that that individual wants you to feel unloved, unvalued, worthless, just to equate you with nothingness, which is a lie. And every single gaslight is a lie. It's a highly specialized lie, which is designed by them, whether they're doing it through body language or through verbal language. Every single bit of it is designed to tell you something about you or your situation or what happened that is not true. So it's commonly referred to as negotiating reality, or as Dr. Roberta Shaler used to say on her Monday night podcasts. I miss her. She was an amazing person. And she would say, this is a person who wants to be on top of the pile, and they want to be the author of your reality. They think that all reality has to be processed by them And then their version of it gets told to each of the individuals in their life, and that nobody is allowed to just experience reality as it truly is. It has to be passed through their system, and then their version of it gets told back to you. So if they, let's say for instance, if they just completely lost their shit and they slapped you, and you say, how dare you slap me? What is wrong with you? We do not do physical violence to each other. That is absolutely unacceptable. And they'll just look right at you, put their hands on their hips and lean in and say, I never slapped you. Maybe you slapped me. That is an Olympic level gaslight. They're going to twist reality and try to get you to think that what just happened didn't happen. The red mark on your face isn't there. It isn't real. The stinging sensation that you feel from being slapped by them, and I'm so sorry if I'm triggering you. I am truly sorry. Let's just take a minute and breathe. Let's just breathe. It is violence that I'm talking about. But gaslighting, please make no mistake about it. Gaslighting is violence. There's a two-part violent thing that I just described in that scene for you. There's a two-part violent moment, okay? The actual physical violence, and then the verbal, emotional, psychological violence that's done to warp your reality, to try to convince your system, your entire system, that it did not happen and that something is wrong with you and you perceive reality wrongly. So when a person is saying to you, and I'm sorry about that really, really sudden reference to physical violence. I apologize for any of you who got triggered by that. I am sorry. I could have used something that's a little more toned down than that. I need to be careful when I speak. So let's go back to the I'm trying phrase. It is just a really, like the gaslights example that I just gave is a bam, right in your face gaslight. But the I'm trying to is so subtle. It's like a whisper. It's like a dandelion seed floating on the breeze. It doesn't bump into us and give us a feeling, and yet it's still there. It's there for a moment, and it just kind of floats off and it's forgotten. On to the next thing. Our mind is constantly scanning our environment for all the different things that we're experiencing. But when somebody uses a gaslight that's that subtle, like the dandelion seed on the breeze, it's getting in. We're getting a dose of that. And it is collected into our consciousness. Our subconscious is always on. I'm in school to be right now for the next half of a year. I will still be in school to become what's called an RTT practitioner, to be a hypnotherapist, and to be an RTT hypnotherapist. And in this program that I'm involved in, which I love, by the way, it's amazing. If you have an opportunity to get into the RTT program, I highly, highly recommend it. But when I am doing the work for my education in that discipline, I keep hearing again and again and again and again and again about the subconscious mind. It has no off switch, and it holds on to everything. Every single thing that our senses take in, subconscious is aware of. And so when we are being hit with a gaslight that's monumental and massive, or a more subtle floating on the breeze gaslight, it's still gaslighting, and it's still lying. Because all gaslights, no matter how huge like a freight train, or subtle like the dandelion seed on the breeze, It's all lies. Every single gaslight is a specially designed lie for the purpose of altering your reality, rewriting your reality, negotiating your reality, being the author of your reality, to give you something that is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when we're being told or shown something by a person, and then right here is what we're experiencing firsthand with all of our senses, and the two do not match. So it's the brain trying to make sense of, do I go with what my senses perceived that is real, or do I go by the distortion that somebody else is trying to? It's picture like when you go to vote and you have the big long piece of paper that you put, the circles, put your mark in the circles, and then you take your folder over to the machine. And some of you may not have this type of machine where you live, but where I live, that's what we have. We've had them for years and years now. And you take the narrow end of the long piece of paper voting ballot, and you feed it into the machine just like you do at a cash a U-scan cash register in a supermarket or a store, where you put the money in and you put it into a certain point and then it just grabs it and takes it. Well, the person who's doing the gaslighting truly wants our system. It's almost like right here is the slot, okay? And they're taking that piece of paper and they're of a lie of what they want us to believe happened, as opposed to what we saw, heard, smelled, tasted, touched, experienced with all of our senses over here. They're going to take that piece of paper and they're going to try feeding it in. And our system, because our subconscious takes in everything, every single time they try to do that, our system is going to, just like the dollar bill, just like the ballot in the voting machine, it's going to pull it in. We don't have conscious control over whether or not we pull it in. The subconscious accepts everything. Everything. Now, we can have our conscious mind rejecting it, but that doesn't mean that it didn't get in. It just means that we had conscious awareness. Oh, that's gaslight. That's false. That's bullshit. And I can ignore it. But we can't keep it from getting in the subconscious. We can recognize the difference, but we can't keep it from getting in. Because human beings aren't made that way. We can't catch it all. We can't sift all of it. Now that takes us back to the ones such as the one I wrote out today, where I tuned my ears to the word trying, or the phrase I'm trying to, or I'm trying not to. I'm trying to tell you the truth. I'm trying to be nice to you. I'm trying to not abuse you. All of these things are like the dandelion seed, and they get in. And we might not have conscious awareness that they got in. So when someone says to you, trying to include you in the family, what does that mean? We're all trying to include you. Means we don't. You're trying to. You haven't done it. It is not a done thing. It's a thing that we're sort of in process, and we're making an effort to include you in the family, to accept you in the family. We are trying to accept you into our family. Sounds real nice, doesn't it? If they do it with a warm smile and they give you a little hug, we are trying to accept you into our family. It means we have not accepted you into our family, and I'm trying to trick you right now. If they say, I'm really, truly trying to see you as a good person. I am trying my best right now to see you as a good person. That means I do not see you as a good person. Now, this one is going to be a little triggering for you. Okay, I'm giving you a heads up first because I heard this one. The kids are trying to love you. Speaking on behalf of somebody else's emotions, which is bullshit. Okay, when we deign to state what someone else's emotions are, we do not know. We can only know what our own emotions are. And somebody will speak, an abuser will speak on behalf of other people to you because they believe they're entitled. Okay, they feel entitled to be, and they want to be the interpreter of other people's emotions and your emotions. And they lie. They cannot know what your emotions are, but they will try to tell you what your emotions are. They will try to tell you what your children's emotions are towards you. And they will try to tell you how lots of other people feel. I got sent messages again and again and again and again and again that said, your family loves you, you know? Your siblings love you, you know? And I've told you in other videos how that moment I was in a supermarket parking lot on February 10th, 2022. Excuse me, 23. I was in a parking lot and I got a message. It said, your family loves you. Your siblings love you. And I went, oh my gosh. We had had a very short discussion and I forgot to block him because normally I keep this person blocked on my devices. I made a mistake. I'm not mad at myself. It's just an ordinary mistake. People are human. We make mistakes. I'm no different. But I left this person unblocked and they sent me a message that said, your siblings all love you, you know? And that's when I went, oh dear God, my siblings and I are estranged. I'm never going back. I made that decision to excise that pain and brutality and subtle abuse out of my life. And then this person is pretty much, you know, shouting into a megaphone at me, is what it felt like. I communicate with your family and we talk about how we feel about you. And I can't resist just putting that into your nervous system right now and see what you do with it. Am I going to get an explosion? Because I'm kind of in the mood for a really big explosion. I love it when you do that because then I can degrade you. Then I can gaslight you and tell you how mentally ill you are for having the normal, appropriate response to finding out that you're being triangulated and smear campaigned. So that is one of the ways. That's the language of an abuser. They love to use the one where these people all love you, you know, meaning I'm the intercessor. All of their feelings towards you come through me. I'm very important. And I will tell you how your own family feels about you because I'm the one who knows and you're the one who's ignorant. This is Olympic level gaslighting because they could not possibly know what anybody else's emotions are. They can only guess. But when they state it as fact and they're doing it to you because they want to have your emotional explosion, which we call supply. Supply can just be conversation. Supply can be just attention. Supply can be just a response to a message. But what they were seeking in that moment was the really, really super rich, super high octane, awesome, almost like instantaneously get you high kind of supply. That's what he was after when he was doing that. Because that individual knew that to say that to me would cause me to explode. And I didn't. I had a response, but it was not an explosion. And I kind of felt good withholding the supply that they wanted to have. But on the inside, was I having an explosion? Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I did not let them have that because they desperately wanted it. And when we learn that the verbal, emotional, psychological abuser is doing what they're doing to us because they are addicted to supply and they're addicted to attention, and they get a big, huge dose in their brain of serotonin, oxytocin, and dopamine when they hurt us verbally, emotionally, psychologically, and then we have a really big response to it. That to them it's like mother's milk. They just can't get enough of it. They can't get their belly full enough of it. And it's really, truly sick. It's truly sick that that's what they will do to another person in order to feel okay for what, a hot shit minute? Not for very long, because then those brain chemicals, they dissipate. It's just the same thing as when we're losing our buzz. Okay, I hate that expression, but that's what it is. When it's dissipating, and then they have to go back to the powerless feeling that they feel all the time again, and then they have to go and do another thing that hopefully will get you to respond, and then they can snork up that supply up their proboscis to put it in their belly so that they can feel okay for a while. But they can never be like you, which is just out in the world doing okay. They don't have the ability to just feel okay. They can't just naturally on their own feel good. They can't manufacture joy. They can't manufacture the feeling of I'm just neutral. I'm just having neutral buoyancy right now. And you know what? It feels pretty good. I don't have a problem, and I'm not over the top joyful. I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle, right where everybody else is. I'm not having these pendulum swings of ecstasy and devastation, ecstasy and devastation, because that gives you an image a view into their inner landscape. A person who has to constantly or consistently gaslight and manipulate and exploit you in order to get you to feel feelings so that they can get their hit of dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, so they feel good chemicals in their brain. They're just like any other drug addict who must always, always, always be on a quest for the supply of what gets them high. And if they have designated you as the person who's going to give them, you're going to be the source. You're abusing you is their source of getting those chemicals to their brain, that they're going to do it in any way that they can manufacture, any way they can come up with. Now, if you confront an abuser and say, this is how I understand all the stuff that I just said, if you said that to an abuser, what are they going to say to you? They're going to be really condescending and say, you think I have time to sit down and plan anything as detailed and extravagant as that to do to you? Get a life. What is wrong with you? You need something to fill your time, because if that's what you think about all day, something's wrong with you. And no, I do not spend every waking moment of my life trying to figure out ways to hurt you. And to that, I would say, of course you don't. You've been doing it for such a long time that it runs on autopilot within you now. It's just your behavior. It's just ingrained into who you are. Like you couldn't just independently stop doing this now. Same way a person who is severely addicted to opiates can't just get up one morning and say, you know what, I'm just not doing it anymore. They will get extremely sick, and then they will have to seek that drug in order to get well. It's just an old expression from the 60s and 70s, that you would have to take in some of the chemical that your brain is addicted to in order to get well. I had to watch a movie in health class in high school that showed that an alcoholic who is severely dependent on alcohol to function would have to get up in the morning and have a drink just to get well in the morning, to be able to appear to be functioning fine, instead of having, delirium tremens and things like that. So what is all this discussion about? When somebody says to you, I'm trying to be nice to you, and they say it with the soft expression, hey, I'm trying to be nice to you. And they think that you're going to be going, thank you. I really appreciate that. Let's remember that it's the same as, picture that person as an adult who is saying to you, hey, I'm trying to tie my shoes. And we can look at them and say, and that means your shoes aren't tied. Because if they were tied, you would be up and off and doing what you're going to do. But if you're still sitting there saying, hey, I'm trying to tie my shoes, they aren't tied. If they're saying to you, I'm trying to be kind to you, they are not being kind to you. If they say, hey, I'm trying to include you in financial matters, that means they don't. Hey, I'm trying to treat you as an equal partner, that means they're not. And on some level, they have conscious awareness of it, because they couldn't say that they're trying to if they were actually doing it. If it was just the way it is. If you're an equal partner to your partner, they would never look at you and say, I'm trying to allow you to have equality in the relationship. That would never even come up. It would just be understood, hey, we're equal partners, and this is running like a well-oiled machine. And we still have arguments, we still have differences of opinion, but you would not be having the abuse of inequality inside of your household and in your day-to-day life. An example, and you might be wondering, well, what would an example of that look like? Like what I experienced, going to your partner and saying, I want my name on the money. I'm not allowed to have my name on the checks. The checks have your name only, and we're married. I want my name on the checks. We should together have equal control of the money in this relationship, in this marriage. And I'm not so old-fashioned that I think that you shouldn't have that unless you're married. If you've had commitments made to each other, and you are exclusive to each other, and you're living in your apartment or your house or wherever you live, at that point, if you live together and you sleep in the same bed, you are partners, then there should be equality in every realm that exists in the relationship. And that includes financial. But when I asked for years, please go with me to the credit union and have my name added onto the account. And then we'll order new checks, and I will be able to write checks exactly the same way you can. And the answer was no. And I'd say, why not? And the answer was, because I like taking care of you. Or on a different day, it might be, because I just don't really think you're responsible enough. Or it's the way my dad always did it. All three of those answers are abusive answers. So I would say, well, I want equality in the relationship with the finances. And the response was, I'm trying to give you equality in the relationship. And I never caught it. I did not catch what a sickening gaslight that was, because he was doing every single thing he could to prevent there being equality in the relationship. He thought that the relationship dynamic should be like, not just like this, but like this. I'm so far beneath him that it can't even be seen in this camera shot. Didn't want it like this or like this, like this. No, it means I'm here and you're somewhere like 1,000 feet below the ground. And that's still too close because I feel threatened by you. I hope this discussion of inequality helps. There is an article that I brought up on my phone, and it has information about, oh my goodness. Oh, I just lost it. I'm so sorry. It was an article, and it was from One Love. Okay, there's an organization that publishes information. It's called One Love. And I'm going to see if I can get it again here. Okay, so the article is it's about defining verbal abuse, but the website is www.onelove.org, and you will find there lots of information about being abused. And the article that I had found, it's I can't find it now, and I don't want to take any more of your time in this video, but if you go to onelove.org, you will find lots of information about verbal and emotional abuse. There are lots of different resources, and one of my favorites of all time will always be the hotline.org. Just go to the hotline.org, and they have all kinds of resource. If you contact them and ask them for information for what specific types of abuse that you are experiencing, they will point you in directions of everything that you need. They're the ones who sent me to 3 different domestic violence support groups and counseling, support. I'm sorry, tripping over my words. Domestic violence counselors who also had support groups in my area, and I did go through 3 of them. I completed the program at 3 separate agencies for domestic violence programming, or excuse me, domestic violence and abuse. The programs that they have, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The programs that are available to you, you can go to the hotline.org and they will search with you while you're on the phone for everything that's available in your area. And they're phenomenal. They're amazing. And I can't recommend them enough. This has been a really excellent discussion. I so much appreciate you being here with me for it. Remember, please, when they say, I'm trying to love you, I'm trying to listen to you, I'm trying to care about you, I'm trying to be a good partner, I'm trying blah, 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 blah. It is the language of a person who is gaslighting you. Okay? All gaslighting is lies, and all gaslighting is abuse. It's verbal, emotional, psychological abuse, and sometimes it's done with the body, but it's still communication abuse. So if you're interested in becoming a client, you can reach me through linbouthillier.com. It's my website. You can email me, lin@linbouthillier.com. And you can call my phone, 716-994-3052. I'd love to hear from you. I do charge for a 20-minute discovery call, but it can go on as long as you need. I just had to name it something. But I charge a nominal fee, just a small fee for a discovery call, because we might be on the phone for even over an hour with me answering your questions. And just like everyone else, my time has value and my information has value. But I would love to work with you. I would love to be your co-equal, peer-to-peer support, your validator, your staunch supporter. for everything that you've been through and help you to coordinate and create your own plan for your own recovery with your own action steps and goals. So I love to work with people. I would love to be your coach. Please reach out if you feel that that would be right for you. If you haven't already, please hit the like button for this video, please. That would help so much with the YouTube algorithm. And as always, I always invite my viewers, please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, leave me comments in the comments section. And every single thing that you do to interact with my video and my channel helps me to be seen and recognized more in the YouTube algorithm. And that means these videos will help more trauma and abuse survivors. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Have the best day, everyone. Bye-bye.